At some point at the Nurburgring, I was doing private coaching. So I was simply teaching people how to drive a bit on track and pretending that I'm the big expert and whatever. And people were paying good money to do that, actually. So I had this customer, he was from Russia, and his name was Anton. And he booked me for a couple days of coaching. I had him for a long time as a customer, really nice guy, relatively good driver, but he simply need to learn, let's say, what corner comes next and how to drive it and approach it and whatever. So I did some, let's say, gross learning the Nurburgring with him. And it was in 1 week where we had 3 track days. So now, for most people who know track days in the US, we do open pit lane track days. So you pay one fee and you have the whole day to drive. This is not cheap, obviously, especially not on the Nurburgring. Now, there is one organizer on the Nurburgring who does very exclusive track days. And his entry fee is extremely, extremely expensive. It's about $3,500 for a day, just to get onto the track. But you get some exclusive things like a hotel room and whatever. And he booked on those 2 days because it's always double days. See, smart there. Sell expensive and then do a double day. And there was 1 day before those 2 days as well from a different organization. So he must have spent like $8,000 just on the entry fees for the track day. And he was renting a car from a company that doesn't exist now anymore. And he always rented the most expensive cars like Porsches or Ferraris, whatever he could get his hands on to drive on the track. And we had a GT3 9-in-1 it was at the time that he rented for the whole 3 days. And he paid me for 3 days of sitting on the passenger seat. I at the time was costing 1,200 euros per day, which is what, $1,500 in today's money, right? So also relatively expensive. And he paid everything up front. And the idea was that he would show up the day before the first track day. We would have dinner together. We would go through the next 3 days. And then we would hit the track on the next day. Now, he calls me and he says, Ray, I'm running a bit late. I'm also not feeling well because I had a small flu the last couple of days. So can we skip on dinner tonight and I'll simply meet you in the morning on the track? Can you pick up the GT3 from the rental company? I said, yeah, sure, no problem. This happens also very often where these people are running late or they took a later plane or whatever. So this is all very normal. So the next morning comes, I go to the rental car company. They know me, they know him. I pick up the car, I drive to the track. I do all the registration already, sign everything up. And there is at the track entrance, there is a cafe called the Devil's Diner. And I'm sitting in the Devil's Diner, drinking a coffee, waiting for him to show up. And we actually agreed to meet at 8. The track opens at 8, but in the first hour there is like a, let's say, sightseeing or parade laps. So we don't use the first hour. We start at 9 driving. Now, 8 comes, he's not there. 8:30 comes, he's still not there. So I'm sending him text messages like, hey, are you awake? Did you overslept or whatever? And I get no reply whatsoever. This is uncommon for him now. Because he's always very punctual. All the track days we did together before, he was always there before me. He was never running late. He always is very informative on what his status is, what he's doing, where he's at. This is out of his normal behavior, let's say. But he told me he was a bit ill the last couple of days, so I thought maybe he slept in a bit. So now 9 o'clock comes and we should start driving. So I try ringing him and he's not answering his phone. I thought, okay, maybe he's on the way. He calls me back maybe 45 minutes after that, and he says, Ray, I'm running a bit late. I wasn't feeling well last night, so I slept a bit longer. I'm sorry I didn't inform you, but I will be there, but it will be a bit later, maybe by lunchtime. I said, hey, sure, whatever. So I'm sitting there in that diner at the track entrance, eating pancakes, drinking a coffee. I'm enjoying my life now, right? Now lunchtime comes, and he's still not there. So I text him again. I said, hey, are you feeling better? What time will you roughly come? No reply again. He calls me at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And he's like, Ray, you know what? Let's skip today because I'm not feeling well. We shouldn't drive today because I don't feel it today. I'm a little bit ill still. I said, whatever, sure. So I go home. I'm like, it is what it is. Next day comes, same thing happens. I'm at the track in the morning. Now this is the expensive track day. And on the expensive track days, you do a very weird sign-up procedure where everybody gets like a t-shirt with their names on it. You get these plastic tags so everybody knows who is everybody. The registration of the car on the track day is a little bit more special because I think we had the GT3 there, which was the cheapest car on the track day. So yeah, it's quite an exclusive event. So you can imagine that they're also very strict with the participants. So the organizer, luckily I know him quite well, he comes to me and he says, Ray, where is your driver? Because everybody needs to be here for the driver's meeting. I'm like, well, I don't know where the hell he is. So I call him. I said, hey, Anton, you need to come here. The driver's meeting is gonna start shortly, and you need to be here. Otherwise, you can't drive today. And he's like, I will show up later. I'm like, dude, you cannot come later. This is quite strict and serious. So I go talk to the organizer, and and I explain him the situation, that he was a bit ill before, and he already missed out yesterday's track day. So he was kind enough to say, okay, Ray, if he comes later, I know he has you for the whole day booked. He'll know the rules. You'll explain things to him. It's fine. Then you guys can go on track. So that was very kind of that organizer. Again, lunchtime arrives, nobody there. I'm like, man, this is not normal. He paid me for 3 days. I could have been booked by somebody else to actually be on track. So it's a tricky situation, you know. Now, if he's really ill, I also feel a bit guilty because I don't want to, get paid by somebody who's not able to do whatever he should do. So he shows up at like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And he looks fine. Like, completely fine. Like, if I have the flu, I cough, right? Or something. Or if I had a flu, the week after I'm still coughing. He was perfectly fine. And I'm like, Anton, what is happening to you? And he's like, no, now I feel better. But until like an hour ago, I was very bad still. I'm like, okay, let's go drive then, right? And we drive like 2 laps, like very slow laps. And after the second lap, he goes like, oh, Ray, I need to go on a phone call because I have a work meeting via phone. I'm going to go back to my hotel room. I'm like, sure, whatever. So he drives back to his hotel room. I'm sitting there again at the Devil's Diner at the track entrance, drinking coffee, and he's gone. So I'm like, whatever, happens. Now the third day comes. So he missed the rest of the day, obviously. The third day comes, and exactly the same happens again. And now I got frustrated a bit, because I met him the day before. He was perfectly fine. The excuse of I don't feel that well is out of the thing now. So it doesn't work with me. So I'm like, I send him a quite nasty text message. I go like, hey, Anton, listen, you should be here. You're not here again. I'm waiting for you for 2.5 days now. You should simply come to drive or not. Do whatever you want. But there is no way to get any refunds or whatever. It's all your choice. You were perfectly fine yesterday. So eventually he texts me back again an hour, maybe 2 hours after that. I don't remember, but it was a long time. And he says, Ray, I deeply apologize. I don't want any refunds. Also tell the guy from the rental company I didn't drive the car yet. I don't need refunds. I don't need credit, whatever. It is what it is. Like, well, this is weird because he spent like a lot of money. The way this works, just to have an idea, it's not just that he paid $8,000 to get onto the track. It's not that he spent $4,500 to me for the driver tuition. It's also the fact that he rented this car. And to rent a GT3, as we do now as well, you pay this by laps. You don't simply rent the car for the day. That's not how it works. You simply say, oh, I'm going to drive, let's say, 10 laps, and that's what you pay for. Yeah? Now, on track days, those packages at the time, we do this a little bit different, but that specific rental car company, they started off with 20 laps on a track day. Now, 20 laps in a GT3, that's easily $5,000, easily. So imagine this number times 3 as well. So he spent a lot of money on those 3 days, and he doesn't want a refund at all, although he was ill. Now, I'm sure I would be kind enough, and the rental car company would be kind enough to at least tell him like, hey dude, you know what, we understand you're ill. We're not going to refund you, but we're leaving it as a credit. A rain check, right? He didn't want that at all. The day goes by, he doesn't show up at all. He also texted me that he's apologizing and whatever, so that's fine. Now the evening comes on day 3. So the track day is already finished hours ago. And he says, oh Ray, do you want to grab maybe dinner tonight? I said, okay, weirdo. So we go for dinner. And there is a restaurant in Nurburgring called the Pistenklause. For the people who've been there, they know what I'm on about. It is a very, let's say, old restaurant in the bottom of a hotel in a basement. And there is a lot of memorabilia on the walls and everything. It's where all the Formula One drivers went back in the 60s and 70s. And it's a really cool place. And I'm sitting there in the Pistenklause, and he walks in, and he has a girl with him. Now, Anton, as far as I knew him the years before, he's not the type of guy who would bring his girlfriend to track days or his wife or whatever. I didn't know anything about his personal life. And he comes with this girl who is clearly out of his league. Like, he was not, let's say, I'm not the nicest looking guy. He was definitely not the nicest looking guy. And that girl that was with him was above everybody's league in the restaurant. And I'm like, Anton, what actually happened now? And he's like, Ray, I'll be honest with you. I've spent the last 3 days with her, and she's way more expensive than you are.
This month of VINwiki content is brought to you by Premier Financial Services, and they are the perfect partner in your journey to own your dream car because their Simple Lease is the most powerful tool in the world of exotic car financing. You'll get all the benefits of a leasing structure like lower payments and better tax treatment, along with everything we love about a normal exotic car loan where you can trade in and out at any time, always know where you stand thanks to their amortization table, and accumulate equity for whenever you're finished and ready for the next car. And Premier is great because they're wholly owned and backed by First Financial Bank, which means they have more buying power than any other exotic car bank or collector car bank in the United States, and their customer service is unmatched. Also, rates are lower than they have been in a very, very long time, so it's never been a better time to reach out to Premier, talk to their representatives, learn what you can pre-qualify for, and let them help you own the car of your dreams with Premier Financial Services.